Hello, people. So, today I will be discussing about the basic principles of plant pathology. So, plant pathology, as you all know, it is a science, it's a pure science, and it's a part of agriculture. And this plant pathology it deals with many factors, like it deals with the disease causing agent, which is called as etiology, deals with the results like the symptoms, okay, and it also deals with the management practices. So, how does a disease occur in a plant? So there are several factors like we'll discuss. There's a concept called as disease triangle, and this disease triangle has got three sides. One of these sides refers to the environment. Okay, another side is called as host, and this side is called as pathogen. Okay, so all these factors, that's plant, host, pathogen, environment, all these factors in combination produce a disease in a plant. Okay, and these are must have for causing disease. Okay, and if we can see like this, that they are important in causing a disease, right? For example, if we say that a susceptible host, what do you mean by a susceptible host? So susceptible host means a host which is vulnerable to a pathogen, to a particular pathogen. It's called a susceptible host. Favorable environment. So what is a favorable environment? Favorable environment refers to all those conditions which are important in developing a disease. For example, there are some pathogens which prefer high humidity and high temperature or low temperature. So all these factors combine in producing a disease in plant. So looking all to these things, we finally come to a conclusion. And also there's also the pathogen, because nowadays, as per one gene, one enzyme hypothesis, what does that state? It states that for every resistance gene that has been developed in a susceptible host, or you can say in a host, a pathogen resistant strain has been developed. Okay, so whatever new chemicals or new management practices we come up with, we never we never please the pathogen, because pathogen always gets stronger day by day. Okay, so because new strains of pathogens are developing and they are becoming resistant against certain chemicals. We have the examples of DDT, like it had become resistant. Okay, like the mosquitoes had become resistant to this DDT, and finally we failed to overcome the population. Okay, so talking about, we can say, okay, so this was it. Now talking about the case of manageable practices, what we can follow, we can just frame a contingency model, which is called as, you can say that contingency model, it actually refers to a model, or we can also call it as etiotype. Okay, there are several model plants which help in designating a particular kind of crop species for a particular kind of environment. Okay, and we can calibrate the plant species accordingly, which are better suited to a particular place. Like giving an example, like we can say that, wait a second. Now as an example, if I quote, like we have got this the model. For example, there's a piece of land, and this land is located in a geographical location which has got some environmental factors which are susceptible, or which are promoting the disease. So what we can do is that we can just first of all we have to see the factors. First of all we have to see the host, then we have to see the pathogen. Okay, we have to see the occurrence, we have to see the life cycle of the pathogen, and accordingly we can just suggest the control measures. Either we can avoid the disease, or we can escape the disease, or we can control the disease, or we can tolerate the disease accordingly, depending upon the severity of the susceptibility of host, and also the severity of the pathogen, and also the severity of the favorable conditions of the environment. Like for example, if we have there is a land in which the pathogen occurs in summer season, okay, so we can grow the crop in winter, but then we'll say on winter it will not flower. We can just grow the resistant genes, or we can grow the varieties of that crop which are winter suited, right? So that we can avoid the, see, there are a lot of factors that we can calibrate, okay. Like for example, if it is necessary for us, if we have no choice in changing the land, like we have this a compulsion for us that land land has to be fixed. If this is the compulsion that land has to be fixed, that we cannot change land, then we can do one thing. We can change the temporal factors, like we can choose a different planting season, okay. Just a second. We can choose a different planting season for a particular crop, okay. So when we do this, we can just by this we can avoid the stage of pathogen. For example, pathogen has a life cycle, like it perpetuates in summer season, okay. So then we will wait for the 3-4 months of summer, so that the entire pathogen has completed its life cycle. It has completed its fruiting stage. It has completed its dormant stage. Now it is finally inactive on that phase, and then we can start the cultivation. But now there's a question that how we can suggest the cultivation of that crop which is suited for summer in winter. We can suggest the winter growing variety of that crop. By this we are escaping from what? We are escaping from the pathogen actually. Now if the pathogen has already entered, now there is a method that we can avoid it, or we can even ward it off. How we can ward it off? We can just suggest some chemical measures, or cultural practices. We can do the deep summer plowing for soil borne. We can do soil solarization. We can do flooding for termites, for pests. We can also do different things, right? So these are the culture. This is actually the basics of plant pathology. Okay, thank you.